Hey bestie, it's B. It's 2023. Our first video together of the new year. Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a great holiday. What's funny is I actually really wanted to start posting like last week, get back in my grind a lot sooner. And you know what? For whatever reason, that wasn't happening. My mental health was just not good. For like, I don't know, honestly, off and on throughout the holidays. Like I was either on a really big high or a really big low. I had to kind of give myself some time to rest and really process whatever was going on, but I feel so much better. And I just wanted to say thank you for being super patient and supportive, because I saw some messages that were like, hey sis, are you posting? What's going on? And it means a lot that you even noticed, if you did notice, but also I just really appreciate that. And it's kind of on topic that all of this was happening, because this whole video, as you can see by the title, is about hustle culture. And today, why I'm gonna tell you why I hope you don't subscribe to it in 2023. And I think especially around the new year, where everyone is like, get back to it, grind mode, wake up early, like all these narratives are being pushed at you to literally hustle and just grind. But to me, that's only half of a very toxic story that you're forming for yourself. So I will break it down for you, and I hope by the end of this video, you're like, I'm gonna be on my own time this year, because you should be. First off, let's define what even hustle culture is. If you're not familiar with it, or even if you are, I wanted to just set the tone really quick about what we're even diving into. Hustle culture, in my opinion, is the narrative that, you know, you have to be a hard worker to be successful. In my opinion, demonizes anything outside of constant grind and this excessiveness of working hard, not taking breaks, you know, all those things, like no sleep, like preaching those narratives that you hear and really not having a whole lot to back it up with. All in all, I would say hustle culture is the idea that you have to be constantly grinding in order to get where you want, in order to be successful. The reason I think people subscribe to this idea is, one, because think about it. If you live in America especially, there is a very underlying tone that if you aren't working hard, that you're not gonna make it. Laziness is demonized, you know, all those things. But also I think people might subscribe to hustle culture because it could be for a lot of reasons. Like maybe you don't wanna deal with your emotions and you have to be busy. Like we all know that one person that is constantly doing something and on the go. They wake up and they're just zooming, and nobody knows how they can do this. So I think there could be multiple reasons why hustle culture might be a thing for some people. But to the first point, I think a lot of us have grown up seeing this narrative in movies, TV, and preached to us as children, and it's something that we just kind of have in the back of our minds. And with other people that may be using it as escapism, I think it's important to recognize that they're doing so, hopefully, and that they can take the time to actually process what's going on. Because one thing about the body is the body keeps count. So if there's something you're avoiding and not addressing, it gets stored in your body in a multitude of ways. That could be sicknesses, illnesses. So we ain't doing that in 2023. And I know if you know people, it's hard to watch them self-sabotage in that way, but I wanted to point out just a couple ways that people might adopt hustle culture habits, because it's not always just because they've been blinded by society. That could be it, but it could also be other reasons. Personally, I think hustle culture was pushed to the masses as a way to help the higher up people. Because what I've noticed, at least, is that a lot of people preaching this mindset of like always working, breaking your back to just like get to the top or whatever it may be, they're usually people already at the top. So one, that makes it more believable because you admire these people and you think they know better, but oftentimes it's something to keep the masses working. I think also a reason that hustle culture became a thing is because capitalism. If nobody is working in America, we got problems, because our entire economy is built on capitalism. And I'm not saying I am pro-capitalism by any means, but I'm saying that's the society we live in America. And so if we don't have all these people who are willing to work and adopt that idea, who knows what would happen to America, right? I say burn it down. So now that you know what hustle culture is, I think it's important to realize that it can easily be debunked. I will debunk it for you in 5 seconds. If being a hard worker and constantly grinding was the one-shot way to success, don't you think a lot of other people would be successful? Think about it. There is probably someone in your life that you know who is an incredibly hard worker, and maybe they're still not where they want to be, or they don't have a ton to show for it, but they're always grinding. Maybe they work multiple jobs, all of this stuff. Now, in saying this, I don't want you to think I'm completely diminishing the idea of hard work, because work is important to your journey and your story. But if you ask me, as your bestie, I think that the hustle part, I don't even like the word hustle. Working is a part of your story and getting to where you want to be, but it is a fraction of your story. The other part of your story that I think is more important is rest. Knowing how to rest, knowing when to rest, that's what's gonna balance the entire equation out and actually get you to where you wanna be. We're gonna circle back on rest in a second, but I think you can't preach the work without the rest. They need to come together, or it's going to be a recipe for disaster. I've personally experienced burnout before, and you guys have heard my story in other videos where I talk about how this idea of constantly working, taking on things, not asking for help, ended up resulting in my health deteriorating. I told you guys, the body keeps score. Even if you think,
oh, I'm fine. I don't need to talk about whatever's going on in my life. I don't need to do this and that. I don't need to take a break. I'm good.
No. What will happen if you ignore what's going on with you mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it is for you, eventually your body is going to win. It's going to force you to take the break. And what happened for me, I was literally bedridden for 6 months and unable to really get back to being myself for a long time. And so if there's anything I could tell you, it's that you need to listen to yourself and your body, and you need to understand that some of the narratives we've been pushed since we're literally since we've been children aren't necessarily in our favor, and they leave out a lot of fine print. One of my most popular videos is my abundance mindset video. I think personally that hustle culture is rooted in the exact opposite of an abundance mindset. I think hustle culture is rooted in a mindset of lack and scarcity. Here's why. Because if you think that you need to constantly be working to get where you want to get, that is a narrative you created for yourself. And as you guys know, I'm really big on mindset, and I firmly believe that we create our own realities with our thoughts. So if your narrative is that you have to work hard to be successful, that is what's gonna show up for you. And personally, that is not a narrative that I wanna subscribe to, because I don't think constant hustle culture is it's not working for my body, my mental health, my spiritual health. It's going against everything that I've built up for myself. And I know this because I had to learn the hard way, right? But what I'm saying is that it's the complete opposite, because if you subscribe to an abundance mindset, you subscribe to the idea that there is more than enough for all of us. You can win, I can win, everybody can win, and we're not taking away from each other's successes. There's more than enough to go around. And when you have an abundant mindset, you operate under the assumption that the universe is for you. Anything you want, the universe is saying yes to you. It's saying you can have it, right? It's always a yes from the universe, God, whatever you call it, it's always yes. And when you actually believe that, it starts to show up for you. My whole thing is hustle culture. I can't subscribe to hustle culture because it goes against my moral beliefs that I can have anything I want. And when I believe I can have anything I want, I'm also believing that I can get what I want without killing myself, without hurting myself, without doing it in a way that brings me pain. My narrative that I've chosen to create for myself is that I can get the things I want and I can enjoy the journey. I can do it in a joyful way. I can get what I want through my passions, okay? So you guys forget, and I want to remind you that you're the director, you're the writer, you're everything in your own story. you are literally in control of your movie. So go create whatever you want with your movie. This is your life. No one gets to tell you that it has to be this exact way, that it has to be hustle and bustle culture to get where you want. When I first started social media, I completely made the mistake of believing that that was the only way to get to where I wanted to be. And what happened in that is that I felt so much shame and so much guilt if I was not hustling. And to be honest with you, I had nothing to show for. It was really just a way of making me feel like I was doing something and like I was actually getting closer to where I wanted to be, because I wasn't there yet. It was kind of like a pacifier to make me feel better. I guess you could say, like going back to my earlier point, that it was a form of escapism for me, because I didn't have to sit there and think, oh, it's not happening yet, and focus on that. I didn't see it in front of me yet, and I was impatient. I wanted that instant gratification. And so it was easier for me to go make myself busy than to sit with the thought that it's taken too damn long. That's fine. It's just, you want to be aware of what you would be hustling for. Why would you subscribe to hustle culture? And I want to make this clear too. If you love to work and you love what you're doing and you just can't stop doing it because it's literally a passion, you eat, breathe, sleep it, that to me is different. Hustle culture to me is kind of done with a resistance and not really with your purpose. So that's how you can kind of differentiate the two and say, do I love hustling, or is this something I'm forcing myself to do? Because you should be in flow. When you're in a state of flow, everything happens easier, like creatively. Just you get the answers intuitively that you want. You don't want to be working in a state of resistance. And to me, hustle culture is creating an environment of resistance, because it's more of the mindset that you have to do this instead of you want to do this. And I'm here to remind you that you can love what you're doing. This is your life. You're the writer, you're the director. You need to figure out the narrative you want to create. And if your narrative is not work hard, dig my grave, hustle, 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 bestie, figure out what it is. Go get a pen and paper or whatever, notes app in your phone, and literally write down the story you want. I have affirmations in my phone that literally speak into my life what I want. I want a soft life, baby, okay? Have y'all seen the soft life trend on TikTok where people are like, look, I enjoy slowness, I enjoy stillness. I like being bored. What is wrong with being bored? I don't wanna always lean in, I wanna lie down. To me, that is the reward. That's where I feel like I'm connecting to these really great ideas. And so I told you guys, I kind of extended my little holiday break against my will at first. And what's crazy is we had Christmas, and then the week after, I'm not even kidding you, that week after, I kid you not, just ideas coming to me, flowing to me. And instead of acting on them right away like I always want to do, I just wrote them all down. And now I literally have a notes thingy that's filled with so many YouTube ideas. And if I hadn't given myself that extra week, even though I really didn't want to do it, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to get those ideas. And so that's what I mean. I feel like in slowness and in stillness, you connect to this like higher version of yourself. You can hear yourself and actually create the things that you want to create at the level you should be creating them at, because you're finally listening to that inner God and that inner tuition that you were all blessed with. The downfall of being so busy is that you can't be still and quiet enough to receive all these amazing ideas and answers. We were all born with the answers. That is something I am learning. That gut feeling, that intuition, those are your answers, and you can tap into that. You can tap into that through meditation. You can tap into that in a lot of ways. For me, I actually get a lot of ideas when I'm in the bath and when I'm driving. And something I've noticed about those two situations is I am not on my phone. I am not focusing on technology, whether that be TV, my cell phone, like on social media. I'm in water. Go take a bath, go take a shower. And I don't know, I'm a water sign, so I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I just be like, oh God, like all of these ideas, and I know that it's coming from a place of like, these are not Bria ideas. This is that thing I'm trying to tap into, my higher self. I'm trying to tap into these ideas that are much bigger than me. I know we're like besties, but Bestie B could not do this without help. I could not help you guys without help from like some divine force. So there's no doubt in my mind that I believe there's something helping me carry my channel out, because I am just Bria, and these ideas are so much bigger than me. And the way that I talk to you guys and bring you information is bigger than me. I take no credit for it. It's just me being able to sit the fuck down and listen to the answers. And that can be, like I said, in meditation, that can be in stillness. And sometimes you get into a meditative state when you're driving, you know, that like autopilot thing. Sometimes that could be that meditative state for you. So that's why I said, like, when I'm in the car, I get these ideas and I'm like, ooh, I need to remember that. In the bath, when I'm actually relaxed, these ideas come to me because I'm like more open and just receptive, and I'm just in a very calm state. I think the bigger picture is finding that time with yourself, that moment with yourself, that quietness with yourself, not the hustle and bustle. The hustle part comes so much easier when you know exactly what you're aiming for, and when you have the answers, and when you're tapping into yourself and your creativity in your quiet time and in your stillness time. You don't have to hustle as much. What's crazy to me now is I feel like I'm able to rest so much more than when I first started this. And that should be a part of growing and success, but that's because I also created that narrative for myself. I said, I want to work less and get more. And I've defined that in my journaling and my affirmations. I've defined what that means. So for me, that means I don't want to have to feel like I'm constantly having to jump from the next thing to the next thing. I want to feel like I can take my time, because that also makes me a better creator. That helps me show up better for you guys, better for my family, better for my friends, better for AJ, better for Bubby. Like, I'm just a better version of myself when I'm not completely draining myself in one area, which would be my career. And I made that mistake when I first started to create content. I was all in, and it was 100% that, and I gave very little to all the other areas of my life. My friendships deteriorated, I had relationships deteriorate, my mental health, my physical state, like the list goes on and on about all the things that suffered because I adopted the hustle culture ideals instead of prioritizing balance and rest. So I previously did a video on why you have to take the break before the break takes you. And I encourage you to go watch that one as well, because it talks about more so the repercussions of not taking breaks. And I know that there can be a lot of guilt around feeling lazy when you're not lazy at all. I want you in 2023 as your bestie to reframe your mind around rest and start using the word recharge. I don't know why, but I think saying the word recharge has really helped me to see it as something more beneficial, because when you see your phone charging, you see that when it gets to that full charge, you're able to get the longevity of your phone again. You're able to use your phone for the information, for the entertainment, whether you're scrolling on TikTok or whether you're checking your emails. You're able to use your phone after it recharges. But technically, your phone might be taking a rest while it's doing that. So instead, start to really focus on the recharge aspect of slowness, stillness, and working at an easier pace. I promise you, you working faster and more than other people is not a guarantee to success. There are so many other factors in the way, and remember, you get to decide what those factors are. I like to speak that I am just like a very lucky girl. I know the lucky girl syndrome trend is going around on TikTok, and I love that. I've been tagged in that so many times from you guys, because also people are like, yeah, Bria says this. It's called like just being delusional and assuming everything works out for you, because it does. Because I said so. And you can say so too. So reframe your narrative and just assume that you don't have to work all the time to see what you want. You work because you love it. Good opportunities are naturally attracted to you. The perfect connections are always working in your favor. The universe is always conspiring in your favor. Like, these are just some things that I say sometimes. And in those moments of rest and recharge, when I'm starting to feel anxious and guilty, I say these out loud to myself, because then it just calms me down again. And I'm like, Bria, what are you tripping for? Literally, the best case scenario is always happening for me. Like, what am I tripping on? I am the luckiest girl ever. I get everything my heart desires, if not better. The universe is always making it happen for me, and I just say these things to myself, and what happens? Exactly what I said, because I spoke it and I said it, and that's the reality I want to create. I don't want to operate under a mindset of lack, under a mindset of scarcity, under a mindset of that if I don't do this, I don't get that. No, we can get what we want because we said so, and our desires are inevitable if we said so, right? You're in charge of the story. You are the director. You are the writer. Please don't forget it. So just keep in mind that the real power is in slowness, stillness, and listening to your inner power. And you could only tap into that when you're not hustling. And I know right now at the start of the year, everyone is telling you the exact opposite of what I'm saying. They're telling you, get in the gym. It's time to go hard. What are your resolutions? What are your goals? And that's why I wanted to put this video out right now while everybody is on their little high horse about what they're gonna do. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not shaming that. I'm just letting you know it doesn't have to be you if you don't want it to be you. Please do goal set, and please do prioritize what you want in this new year. But also know that you can get those things in a healthy way and in a balanced way. You can take care of yourself while you're doing it. You can enjoy the journey, and it does not have to be this whole chaotic process that you don't even stick with because you went too hard the first 2 weeks of the year. Okay, I know that's too real for some of y'all. We get so excited about these resolutions. Some people go into the gym, they're kicking ass for a week or two, and then you never see them again. Where did they go? My guess is that they did not create a sustainable routine because they went way too hard. If you went a little bit softer, you know, maybe that goal could have been at first like, hey, I'm just gonna do a 15-minute walk on the treadmill every day. But no, you don't have to go to the gym for 2 hours every day, because you're gonna get real sick of that real fast. And I know we get so hype around this time of year. We get really inspired and really motivated, but I want you to take a deep breath and say, okay, seriously though, how can I make these goals and resolutions for the new year super sustainable? How can I actually do this until December of 2023 and beyond? That's what I want you to do. And that comes with what? Pacing yourself, not hustling to the finish line. Okay, we all know that story about the rabbit in the what was it, a frog or a snail? No, it was a turtle. It was a turtle and a hare, right? Okay, who won? The turtle. If you don't know the story, go look it up. I haven't read it in a minute, clearly. It's a really important theme to keep in mind. The quickest one is not always going to be the most successful, okay? So just keep that in mind. I hope that this helps you to kind of reframe your mind around hustle culture, and I hope it brings you a little peace in knowing that you don't have to do these things. You can still get what you want and do it in a healthier, sustainable way. Working towards your goals is important, but also keep in mind the rest and recharge. I am so excited to see what you guys do in the new year in 2023, and I'm excited to share my own journey with you guys as we do some really cool things this year. If you're new here, my name is Bria. I should have said that a long time ago, but if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you have the notifications on so you see the next time I post. I'll see you guys next year, and Happy New Year. Love you.